Hey everyone, this is Laura Nelkin, and I want to show you a few quick tricks for working the Cassio collar. This pattern is really easy, and I think these little bits will help you have great success. First up, make sure that you string all your beads onto your yarn according to the pattern, and make sure that you get the big beads strung on and a clasp on each end. That's all written into the pattern. Let's do the cast on first. It's really easy. You're all set up for it. So you're going to do a long tail cast on with 3 stitches. I start the first stitch but just by putting my yarn over the needle. I don't make a slip knot, so I don't have the extra knot at the end of the collar. And I'm casting on 1 stitch and casting on 1 more, so I end up with 3 stitches on my needle. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to slide up the clasp so it's touching the right hand needle. And I might have to put this down for a second to do this easily. I'm going to go grab my dental floss threader, which you used for stringing on your beads, and I'm going to thread the tail through the dental floss threader and then go through the hole in the clasp again. And what that is doing is reinforcing the clasp to the cast on. And now I'm going to cast on 3 more stitches. So now I have 6 stitches on my needle, and you can see that the clasp is in between those 6 stitches. So I've got 3 before and 3 after. And now I'm going to go ahead and start to do the setup rows. The base of Cassio Collar is a really easy reversible I-cord, and you'll be working the same thing for every row, either with beads or without beads. This first row, after I work it, you might decide that you want to place a removable stitch marker to help you know which is the right side of the work. So the first stitch is knit. The second stitch, I bring the yarn to the front, I slip that stitch, and I bring the yarn to the back. Now I knit a stitch, bring the yarn to the front, slip a stitch. Sometimes the first row is the hardest. And now I knit a stitch, then I bring the yarn to the front, and that last stitch is slipped. That's going to happen on the next row as well. The biggest thing you guys might make a mistake here is to start knitting with your tail, which I did on the last take of this video, so don't do that. And now I'm going to slip that, and I'm going to knit one, and I'm going to slip that, and I'm going to knit one. You're going to continue to work these 2 plain rows for the size that you are making. This is where you'll add length to your collar if you want it to be longer. If you are working from the kit, I gave you plenty of yarn. So if you decide that you want your collar to be longer, just make sure you write down how many plain rows you work so you can make sure to do the same thing on the other side. I ended up deciding that I really liked my Cassio collar short, so I made the shortest size for me. I wanted it to sit inside a neckline well. So you're just continuing on. I'm chatting away as I'm just working the reversible I-cord. Let me get set up with a few more rows to show you how to work with beads, okay? You guys see how easy this is and why it's really key to mark the right side of your work, right? Okay, it is time to start working with beads. Are you ready? So easy. So I'm starting the beaded section. I'm with row 1, and I'm going to knit the first stitch. Then I bring the yarn to the front of my work. I go down my yarn, grab a bead, slide it up so it's touching the right hand needle. And now I am going to slip that stitch and leave the bead to the front of my work. And now I'm going to knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one. And now I'm going to work 3 rows of the reversible I-cord plain without beads. So this is a wrong side row, and now I know it's the wrong side because it doesn't have a bead showing. So the moment you start working with the beads, you know which is the right side and which is the wrong side. Slipping that last one. Now I'm going to work 2 more. I might speed this up. Now I'm going to work beaded row 5. And all that happens with beaded row 5 is the bead is on the second slip stitch, not the first slip stitch, so they offset from each other. So now I'm going to slide up a bead here. And then you continue on like that, incorporating the beads into your strand. See how easy that is? Now, one thing I want you guys to see, you work the whole strand on one side, and then when you get to the center right here where the ring goes, you work plain rows. And then you need to slip on these beads before you go back to beading on the other side. And to do that, you can't get those beads over your needle. So I found the easiest thing to do was to take my stitches off of the needle and I put them onto the dental floss threader, and then I folded the dental floss threader in half and just pulled all of those stitches through the bead. If the dental floss threader is awkward for you, you could also just use a piece of scrap yarn to do that, to transfer the stitches onto a piece of scrap yarn so that you can thread the scrap yarn through the big beads and continue on with the other side. That was something when I was designing this that it took me a few times to realize that the beads had to be on the yarn before I even started so that they would be in the right place when it was time to slide them up. Please let me know if you have any questions. There's a knit along setup in the Ravelry group. I am happy to help you with your Cassio. Happy knitting.